Well, hello everyone. Our preview of before all the madness starts of sectionals week 11. Crazy to think we're only 2 weeks away from state championships.
Yes, and this is always my favorite week of the playoffs because it's when we really get the best of the best in the state, all fighting for a trip to sub-state, and then of course a trip to the championships. Buddy the Elf just walked in our studio. You'll see him on our 4 o'clock show, I assume.
Absolutely, yes. So I'm really looking forward to this week. Like Katie mentioned, I think there's a lot of local matchups this week too, which is awesome for us. We'll get to some of those matchups here in just a second, but I think this one is going to be very, very exciting. In the 1A bracket for our game of the week, Rossville at Jackson Heights. I don't know how much more to explain it. This one should be very fun.
Yes, a few weeks ago when the brackets first came out, we looked and we saw that Jackson Heights was the 1 seed, Rossville's the 4 seed. Okay, if they keep winning, then they're going to meet in sectionals. And so we knew a few weeks in advance this was probably going to be our game of the week. And we were correct. And now we are excited that it's here. And we will start by going over the top-seeded Cobras, who have been on what a run. Call it a dream season, I think would be putting it lightly. They've outscored their opponents 546 to 29 this season. 546 to 29. So obviously that means they're really good on offense because they've rushed for over 2,700 yards and 49 touchdowns. But that also means that they're really good at defense as well. They've only allowed 29 points, and they're putting 13 interceptions into that, 11 passes defended, words are hard, 6 fumble recoveries, and 3 forced fumbles. So not only do they bring it on offense, they bring it on defense too.
Yeah, when we coming into the season, the first couple games, you saw their scores of 54 to nothing and 59 to nothing, and you're like, okay, Jackson Heights might be a team to watch out for in 1A, and obviously, these stats prove it right. 10-0, they've been awesome to watch. We've obviously been to a couple of their games now, and Titus Eisenbarth has been outstanding in the run game. Drake Mellies has been great in terms of offense and defense, especially when you're at the smaller schools. You have to play both ways. These guys are really playing very, very well. And Kate, I know you talked to Coach Caleb Wick for our KPZ pregame yesterday. What did Coach kind of talk about with this group that's been building or hoping to get to where they are right now?
Yeah, they've got a very veteran team. To use his words, they're old. He kept saying they're old. 17-year-old kids are old. But yeah, they've got a very veteran team who've been kind of building towards this moment for a while. It helps that, he and some of the other coaches on there are elementary school teachers. So, they're kind of with those kids when they're very young, and they've been building up to this moment. And they're really led by 2 the big leaders on offense, as we already mentioned, Drake Mellies and Titus Eisenbarth. Good news is Drake Mellies is only a junior, so he'll be back next year. However, Titus Eisenbarth, he's a senior, and he is the playmaker on that team. He can catch balls, he can run balls, he can do whatever you want to score touchdowns. And so it does seem like, this is the year that they want to get this done because there's no next year for him.
Sure.
But he also did tell me that, the past 2 weeks they've let up touchdowns, and their defense, they're taking that personally. Obviously only 1 touchdown. They still won by quite a big margin in both of their playoff games so far. But definitely they want to improve on that and, try for another shutout like they've been doing throughout the season. But they very much acknowledge that Rossville is going to be the hardest team that they've faced all season long. A, because Rossville knows how to win in the postseason. B, because they do a lot of things that they just feel like it'll be hard to pinpoint a weakness in. And the same can be said about Jackson Heights. It's kind of just a matchup between 2 teams who really don't have a lot of weaknesses. So I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. I think we're going to see some fun defensive action, maybe some picks. You never know.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a 7-0 game. I think this is going to be where both teams probably score at least 21. I would think at least 21 for both sides.
Bet the over.
Yeah, if we could bet on high school games, that'd be kind of fun. I think this game should be an offensive output. I don't think 50 points will be scored by either team,
no.
But I think at least 21 for both of these squads. And Jackson Heights has been very fun to watch this season. 56 to 8 in round 1, round 2, 38 to 6, and obviously going over these stats, we know how good they are. But Rossville is also another great team in 1A. They were in 2A last year, but in the 1A bracket, they've won a couple state championships.
Actually, those were 2A.
Oh, those are 2A,
yes.
actually. Okay, so they've still won state championships regardless, and they know how to win, as you mentioned. So I think this might be the most fair matchup. I think both teams have probably played this year, so it's going to be fun.
Yes. One thing I like about Jackson Heights when I went to their game 2 weeks ago is that they just drive down the field. They in like 4 plays. Like it really doesn't take them very much to just move down the field, and then boom, they're in the red zone and they score. So that's something that Rossville is going to be looking out for. But Rossville's on a bit of a hot streak. And like we said, they won back-to-back state championships in 2020, 2021. And since they haven't made it this far, so they want to make it, that they want to keep going because, Coach Thomas told me that the kids who are seniors on this team were in 9th grade the last time they won a state title. So they were present for the state championship, but they really didn't play.
Sure.
They didn't really feel like they had a part of it. So they want to feel like they can continue that legacy at Rossville and get some of it for their own and feel like, they were really a part of that accomplishment. And they're on a hot streak. They've won 7 games in a row. They started the season 0-3, but they were playing some crazy good competition to start the season. They start the year with their rivals, Silver Lake. They play Nemaha Central, the back-to-back 2A state champs. And then I'm blanking on whoever beat them the 3rd time, but after that, it's been all winning since. They have not lost.
Yeah, and I think this is, as Coach Thomas said, as a veteran group, he's a veteran coach. Obviously, he knows when this means more, obviously, when it's win or go home. And, of course, you're only 2 games away, obviously, from a state championship. And you can kind of tell when they were in the beginning of the year, you can kind of tell it was...
All their losses were close.
Yes.
Like, they weren't big losses.
No, I think they were all by
games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like they were getting blown out by any means. And just some stats here. During this win streak, Rossville has rushed for almost 2,000 yards and 29 touchdowns, and a big part of that has been Tayson Horak.
Yes.
Being the quarterback, rushing. I don't know how many exact touchdowns he has, but a lot of those are him.
There's always a Horak in Rossville making plays.
Whether it's in basketball, football, whichever. But Rossville defense has allowed 29 points per game in the first 3 games, but since then, only 7. So I know that says that's 7 during that win streak, but I just don't think Jackson Heights only scores 7 points in this game. I don't think that's going to happen.
And Coach Thomas acknowledged this is going to be their toughest matchup of the season probably so far.
I can firmly agree with him on that. And we can just see by the results here, the Rossville defeated Wabunsee 47-13, and then defeated McLeod last week in that rainstorm. That was not fun to cover.
2 dominant wins so far for the Dogs.
Yeah, 44 points in both. So, like I said, I think this should be fun. I don't know how much else or much more to say. This is going to be very fun, and I'm very looking forward to Michaela Kelly bringing those highlights for us, pre- and post-game coverage. Kansas Prep's on at 10:15, so, and at 6 o'clock, too. So, I don't know, Katie. I mean, do you think both teams score at least 21? Or there might be at least 21 points in this game?
Oh, yes. For sure. I won't give any more thoughts. I have my thoughts. I won't give them. I'm not going to jinx anything.
I think this will be... I think both teams might score 20.
Yeah.
But you can't tie. You got to win, so we'll see.
No tying in the playoffs.
No. So this is our game of the week. This should be very fun, and we'll see who moves on to good old Sub-State.
Yes. And we did have a game of the week junior, who we'll get to soon.
Yes. This one should be very fun. 8-man D2, Burlingame 10-0, paying a visit to Frankfort, who's 8-2.
One of their losses coming to Axtell, who, can we really count that as a loss? They're in a league of their own.
Yeah, exactly. They're in just a different world, as we know. Frankfort, both wins for them in the playoffs have been 40 points, 40-14 over Lynn, and then 46-0 over Marmaton Valley. They're 3-1 at home this year, and they've outscored their opponents 180-36 in those 3 wins. And since the 2018 season, this is pretty good. They've won 12 playoff games. So that's pretty good, especially when you're at home. But Burlingame, they've been very fun this year as well.
Yes, 10-0, undefeated to start and continue this season. And they've got big dominant win in week 1. And then week 2, they had a really tough matchup. Hanover was certainly not a pushover team that they faced in the second week of the playoffs. Hence why the score was so close. But Burlingame, they're 4-0 on the road. So...
Yeah, 3-1 at home. I love when those records, when you see that. One team is 3-1 at home or 4-0 at home, whichever. or the other team's just as good on the road. So this one should be a lot of fun. And just look at that, too. Outscoring opponents 266-30. 3 of 4 of those were shutouts.
Yeah.
So that's just pretty good, too. Their offense has 3,200 total yards this year, averaging 62 points a game.
63 points a game.
It's kind of like Axtell.
Yeah. Speaking of, whoever wins this gets the winner of Axtell and Osborne, more than likely Axtell.
Yeah, so this is going to be...
We're going to have 2 really good games in a row coming out of this little section of the 8-man D2 bracket.
Which is always fun.
Yeah.
So, Burlingame, Frankfurt, we will be at this game as well, so say hi to our camera out there. So, we'll see who wins, Frankfurt or Burlingame.
Game of the week, Junior.
Yeah, this one's going to be very fun.
Osage City was just our game of the week last week. They're 10-0 to start the season. They're at home. They're 10-0 for the first time in program history. It's never happened for them before. And they've got A, a really dominant win to start the playoffs, and then B, a revenge win in round 2 of the playoffs because they took St. Mary's. Actually, no, I'm thinking of the wrong team.
Yes.
I'm thinking of Council Grove and Silver Lake. Don't mind me.
That was another revenge.
But that was a revenge.
That was another revenge as well, because Silver Lake won that game as well just a couple weeks ago. But no, this one's going to be very fun. We know that obviously Nemaha Central is the back-to-back state champions in 2A. Osage City, we've been to a couple of their games. They're just dominant. Kason Parsons has been awesome, the junior quarterback for the Indians. In the 6 games versus teams with a winning record, the defense has recorded 56 total tackles for loss. That's insane. 13 sacks, 5 picks, and 3 recovered fumbles. So if they're not doing it through the air, they're doing it on defense too, which is insane.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be a very close defensive matchup. I don't think this is going to be very high scoring, despite how good both of these offenses are, because both of these teams have really good defenses as well.
Absolutely.
Possibly even better defenses. Something Nemaha Central really prides itself on. It's how they won both of their back-to-back state titles the 2 years previous to this. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is kind of a low-scoring affair, like a 14-7, maybe 21-14 maximum, but I don't think this is going to be too crazy offensively speaking, because I think it's just going to be 2 of the best defenses in 2A going at it.
Yeah, I think whoever wins the quarterback matchup, I think, is going to win this game. I mean, Carter Hike obviously has been fantastic since he's been the quarterback, since he's taken over the reign. I'm just very excited to see what both of these teams do and how they both use the line of scrimmage, because both of them are very good in the run game, and whoever utilizes that well enough should probably win this game.
Yes, and not to mention Carter Hike and the rest of the offense, they've rushed for 2,300 yards, averaging 7 yards per carry.
That's good.
Theoretically speaking, if you just run it, you're going to get first down, touchdown.
Basically, yeah. So I'm looking forward to see who wins the line of scrimmage and who wins the battle between Kason and Carter. And then whoever wins this game gets the winner of Humboldt and Council Grove.
Who's coming off a big revenge win, like we said.
Which Humboldt's 10-0, Council Grove I think 7-3, if I'm not mistaken. That should be another good game as well.
Yes. We got another good one here. Local matchup right in Topeka. Perry Lecompton at Hayden.
Yeah, we will be at this one. Hayden took the last matchup just a couple weeks ago, 50-16. So Hayden 9-1. Perry Lecompton coming off 2 pretty impressive wins to start the playoffs, beating Santa Fe Trail 35-0, if I'm not mistaken. Here. There we go. I don't have to even think about it. And then they beat an undefeated Frontenac team 28-22.
Yeah. Something to remember, they were 3-5 coming into the playoffs. They were below 500, and now they're in sectionals.
Well, and this is a team, too, when when we do our KPZ previews and stuff before the season, Coach Paramore and a lot of this is a very senior-heavy team that knows what it takes, and, hey, again, this is win or go home, so they don't want to lose, and obviously they haven't lost yet. And you can see since the loss against Hayden, Perry's won 3 straight, outscoring opponents 97-42, and then has won 2 straight playoff games against Hayden.
Ooh.
So not just the regular season, but this is the playoffs.
Yeah, little bit of, obviously, probably not in these kids' timelines of being at the school, but still a revenge for the program if Hayden can get the win tonight.
Oh, 100%. And another cool story, if you didn't know, Jason White, who is a Hayden alum of 1998, the year I was born, which is 26 years ago. I was joking with him about that, and he goes, "No, man," he goes, "I know I'm old, don't worry about it." But he's now a coach on Perry. So he told me, he goes, "It felt weird the first couple times when I used to go right to go to the home side. Now I've had to go left." So he goes, "It's felt kind of weird the last couple times going to Hayden." But he said that, he's very excited to come back home once again and play at Hayden, and for his sake, for his team, to come out with a win. So that'll be fun. I'll have a little bit of a story on that tonight at 6 o'clock, so be prepared to see Jason White, who is a former Topeka police officer and has been with Perry Lecompton now for the last couple of years. So this should be a fun game, and Hayden, again, winning 50-16 the last time these two teams met. So we'll see what happens. It's always hard to beat a team twice.
Exactly. And you learn a lot about them the first time you play. And not to mention, the winner of this will get possibly the 1 seed in the 3A bracket, Wellsville, unless Prairie View can upset them tonight.
Yeah,
so.
And Wellsville, from what I've seen, just, of course, Twitter clips, stuff like that, they've been pretty solid.
Yes.
So,
top
Hayden,
seed for a reason.
Well, and Hayden's only given up 6 points during this, so this has been fun. They've only given up 6 points in the playoffs and 6-0 at home, and they outscore opponents at home 308-40. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. A
few more games on the docket for tonight, heading out west to talk about these. I will be at Wamego out in Boomtown, so say hi to me if you see me. Another big year for Wamego. They are just incapable of losing a game at home. They haven't lost a game at home since 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Since before when they made the state championship in 4A and 2 years ago. They're 9-1 to start the season. Their only loss coming on the road. Last week they defeated Buhler, not 29-16. Or actually, that was earlier in the season. Sorry, reading is hard.
Yeah, earlier in the year.
So they've actually already faced each other this regular season. Wamego coming out with the win, and it was a 13-point win. So, like we say, it's hard to beat a team twice because Buhler has learned some things about them now. But Wamego has also vastly improved, as most teams do throughout the season. So we shall see. They've already gotten a big start to the postseason, first taking out Independence dominantly, and then a tough game against McPherson that they came out on top of.
Yeah, and there it is, shows you right there. Wamego has a combined 13-1 record at home since last season. So
and that only loss came in the playoffs.
Yeah, so this one should be another fun one for Wamego, and again, the defense we know Coach Moody prides himself on. So this should be a very fun matchup down in Wamego, and we'll see if Wamego can move on to sub-state against Buhler. And then this one should be very good too.
Yeah.
Both 9-0 on the season right now. 10-0, I should say. I'm sorry, 10-0. Both teams. 9-1. Sorry. Wichita Northwest 9-1. So this was another matchup from earlier in the season where Manhattan took that game. So we know what Manhattan can do. They're very good at home, very good on the road no matter where they play. But when they're at home, I think they're just a different beast.
Yes, and I think something that's just truly sad is that Manhattan is the 2 seed in the West in the 6A bracket. Derby is the 1 seed. So assuming that both Manhattan and Derby win tonight, they would play next week. It would be at Derby, which feels so criminal and sad. That is the state championship. I feel like that's just the state
which
championship.
Which is a week earlier.
It's sub-state, but it's just the state championship.
Yeah, it's 1 week earlier. If Manhattan...
It's tragic that they're on the same side of the bracket and they can't face each other Thanksgiving week.
Yeah, which that'll be... And they met in sub-state last year, too. So we'll see how this one goes. Wichita Northwest has a lot of great athletes. I know, that's where good old Brees Hall came out of. If the Jets running back, if you didn't know who that was.
Made him do a little bit better in fantasy for me.
Yeah. The whole Jets team should be better. I should be talking the Bears, not as good. So, but since September 27th of Week 4, Manhattan's defense has only allowed 31 points and 5 shutouts. I don't think this one's going to be a shutout indicative of the last game, but it should be fun.
Yes.
And we'll be at this game too and have those highlights for you.
Absolutely. And a few more games on the docket for tonight. Undefeated Axtell taking on Osborne. We don't quite understand how they decide who gets to play where because this game is not at Axtell, even though they're undefeated in Osborne 7-3. I don't know. But they face off tonight, and that's at 6 o'clock, not at 7. They get the winner of Burlingame and Frankfort. Clifton Clyde is going to be at Madison. That winner gets the winner of Little River or Central Plains. And Centralia versus St. Mary's Colgan, they get the winner of Rossville or Jackson Heights. That's
going to be a fun one. That one's down in St. Mary's Colgan. We will have highlights of this one. Thank you to KOAM down in Pittsburgh. We'll send us some of those highlights, and they will also be giving us as well Council Grove at Humboldt. The winner will get Nemaha Central or Osage City. So we'll see if Council Grove can play a little spoiler. If they play the way that they played against Silver Lake,
yes,
they should have a pretty good should have a pretty good chance against Humboldt. And then this one too should be fun. Seaman paying the visit to Eisenhower. The winner will get Hayes or Hutchison, and Seaman's on the road for that. We will also have those highlights, and we'll see what the connection of Max Huston and Briar Finley can do in another playoff game.
And if Hutchinson can upset Hayes tonight, then Seaman gets to play at home next week.
Yes, because Seaman
as
is
the
the
3
higher seed.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Seaman every year has gotten better and have advanced further every single season the last couple of years. So we'll see if Seaman can do it again this year, and hopefully host for Sub-State, which would be very nice.
Yes, there's been quite a few upsets in the bracket so far, so it's like you never know what's going to happen. So
very
we
true.
will see what goes on.
I'm looking forward to this week. Sectionals should be a lot of fun. Like I said, this one, the game of the week, should be a very fun one. Nemaha Central, Osage City should be great. All these games should be great because obviously most teams are 8-2.
Yes,
9-1,
if they're still playing right now, they're not a bad football team. So that's why this is the most fun week.
Which, unless there might be one Cinderella story in one of the brackets. But normally, most of these teams are 8-2, 9-1, 10-0. So we'll see. How many teams move on? We'll find out at 10:15. We got 9 games for you. We'll have some of the updates of the college football slate for tomorrow as well. Michaela Kelly, again, will be live at Jackson Heights at 6 o'clock, and then post-game coverage at 10:15. And I think there's no rain, Katie, so this should be fun. Thank goodness.
My boots got so messed up last week. Because I was at Hayden, and they got grass out there.
I was at Rossville, which was nice. It was turf. So was Silver Lake. But when the wind is going sideways and you have an umbrella,
not fun.
It doesn't work too well. So hopefully we don't have to worry about rain. I don't think it'll be too cold either, but we'll have some fun. So join us at 10:15. Katie and I will be there, of course, to give you all the fun and great highlights. Again, Michaela Kelly live at 6 and 10 o'clock, and we will see you there.
Check our scoreboard throughout the night for all your score updates.
Exactly. Also, send us your scores if you have them. Email them to us, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it might be. Send us your scores if you have them. And again, we will see you at 10:15.
TV is telling us to go away.
I think that's what that means. Bye.